Alright, just wrapped up the pay to win games video, so it's time to start thinking about what the next video is going to be about. But actually, I gotta go to work first, so I'll think about it when I get home. But now I'm tired, so I think I'll do it after I take a quick nap. But now it's time to go on vacation. I'll just do it when I get home. But now I'm sick. I'll have to wait till I feel better to do anything. Whew, now I finally can just sit back and relax. Wait, wasn't there something I was supposed to be doing? Nah, I'm sure it wasn't important. If it wasn't important, it would have came right back to me. Oh boy, I can't wait for the new Zelda game to come out in 2022. So this is what betrayal feels like. Video game delays are a common theme across the gaming industry. It's not easy to meet strict deadlines all the time. I should know. I'm not sure I've met a deadline since 2012, and even that might be generous, but at least I'm not as bad as Duke Nukem Forever. Setting unrealistic expectations for consumers is a great way to get them excited and interested in a game, but those potential delays can take away from all that buildup. When you tell someone a game is going to come out one year, then delay it to the next, then again, and then restart production from the ground up, you'd understand why I become like a pissy toddler. Now, there were a ton of different reasons that a specific game could be delayed, especially around 2020 and 2021 at the height of the pandemic. Development teams were reduced in size and much fewer people were able to come into the offices to do work on the projects. That's actually one of the major reasons I believe we're getting 3 Pokemon games in the span of about a year. I'm betting that Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl were supposed to come out in 2020 with Legends Arceus following in 2021, and then Scarlet and Violet in 2022. But Diamond and Pearl got delayed, which caused Legend Arceus to get delayed as well, and now we're getting a brand new region right after, to the point that most of us forgot that Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl even happened. Probably a good thing though, since those games are the worst Pokemon games in the past decade, which is saying a lot since Sword and Shield came out literally 2 years before it. Delays are very common when something in the development takes longer than anticipated, there's a change in the development team, or there's bugs and glitches that need to be worked out. These are all good reasons to delay the game to help it become more functional once it comes out. I said functional, not good. So today, let's take a look at some of the most famous video game delays in history and see if any of them were worth the wait. Don't get your hopes up. Let's get started with one of my favorite games ever, Breath of the Wild. The game was initially teased for the Wii U at E3 2013 before being fully revealed the next year. 2015! Yeah, I'm sure that'll happen. It was very clearly being developed as the Zelda game for the Wii U since it didn't have one to call its own yet. They were adamant on the game coming to the Wii U despite the development of their next system, the Nintendo Switch. Every time the game was shown off or talked about, it felt like they went out of their way to show the game was being optimized to play on the Wii U gamepad. I mean, they literally gave Link his own gamepad in the actual game, so I think they wanted it to stick. They even let fans play the Wii U version at E3 2016 with the Switch right around the corner. I don't know if they thought Breath of the Wild on the Wii U would finally increase the system's sales or what. I think you were a little bit late on that one, Nintendo. They finally realized that maybe making it a launch title for the new system would be beneficial, so they pushed it back to a March 2017 release to coincide with the Switch's release. It also ended up being the Wii U's last Nintendo published game, so hey, at least the Wii U ended on a high note. I stand corrected. At this point, Zelda games just have a knack for being delayed. Tears of the Kingdom is maybe the most highly anticipated Zelda game of all time, besides maybe like Twilight Princess, but that was only because everyone threw a hissy fit over Wind Waker. Just because a game looks cartoony doesn't mean it's bad. Just look at Persona 5 or Genshin Impact or Hey You Pikachu. Okay, bad example, but you get my point. When we first learned Breath of the Wild was getting a sequel in 2019, we couldn't wait to learn more. They couldn't possibly make us wait more than a year or so. We'd die before then. Oh, finally! A brand new trailer, and it even shows us a release date of 2022! Oh, 2022 is gonna be the best! Fuck 2022, 2023 is gonna be the best! Not gonna lie, the second Aonuma showed up on screen during that direct, I should have guessed it was gonna be delayed. I was immediately okay with it though, because I finally got relief from my Skyward Sword withdrawals. I just hope Tears of the Kingdom doesn't get delayed once again, because then this video will become outdated and I'll probably get called an idiot. I don't know if I could handle that type of verbal abuse. Remember when I said that games being delayed is usually for the best because it makes the game functional once it releases? Cyberpunk 2077, it's a game alright. This game was horribly bugged and would more likely make your console break itself than give you a fun experience. Which is crazy because the game was delayed 3 times. I get if you delay a game multiple times and a couple things slip through the cracks here and there, but this is what I would expect the beta version to look like and not the actual release. I can only imagine what the beta looked like. Let's just pop the game in here and give it a test. With an original release date of April 2020, then September 2020 to November 2020, and finally releasing in December 2020, it's crazy to me how much still wasn't fixed. They probably could have delayed it to December 2077 and it still wouldn't be debugged. The delays happened because of the game coming out so close to the next-gen consoles. They wanted to be able to get the game to ship out for both generations plus the PC. The original scope of the game was much smaller than what the final product became, and the developers didn't have all the time they needed to complete the game. They even went into insane crunch times just so they wouldn't have to face another delay. I believe they were so set on a 2020 release date that even though the game wasn't finished in December 2020, they just said fuck it, they'll buy it anyway, and they shipped it out. If it was delayed another year or so, I definitely believe the game could have been much better than it turned out. But instead, we got a game that YouTubers get to talk about forever, a fate normally reserved for the Sonic 06s of the world. Speaking of Sonic, and on the flip side of delays, Super Smash Bros. Brawl faced some big delays, but the game came out incredible, even though no one seemed to think so at the time besides me. Brawl had one of the biggest hype seasons surrounding its release, at least in terms of Smash Bros. Games. There were weekly updates online about even the smallest inclusions. They're including the sandbag? Aw, hell yeah! Brawl was initially slotted for a December 3rd, 2007 release in the Americas, but then October came around and it was delayed to February 2008. And then January came and it was delayed another month into March. These delays were for a good reason though. One of the big reasons the game got delayed were some late additions to the Smash roster with Snake and Sonic. It took a while for Nintendo to get the rights to use Snake and Sonic in Smash Bros. Since neither was a Nintendo-owned character. This caused the game to be delayed slightly to allow developers to fine-tune their movesets and work them into the story mode. Well, work Snake into the story mode. They just threw Sonic in right before the final boss because they knew people would go crazy. And they were right. Some games are delayed to get all the details and gameplay right, while others are delayed just to slap on a popular franchise's name on the title.
Oh man, I hate pain! I fucking love solids!
Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain, also known as the Phantom title because for some reason they decided to reveal the game without mentioning that it was Metal Gear. Now you could believe their views where they said they didn't initially say it was Metal Gear because they thought that it would skew fans' perceptions of the trailer, or you could be like me.
You're a fucking fraud!
A lot of times, I'll believe developers even when I shouldn't. I mean, I believed Game Freak was working on high quality animations as the reason they couldn't fit the whole National Dex in Sword and Shield. This is why nobody takes me seriously. But I just do not believe Kojima in the slightest. Luckily for him, despite a couple of delays, the game came out and was fantastic. You know what's not fantastic though? Asking fans to pledge more and more money to put more details into their game just for it to come out barely working. That's Mighty Number 9 for you. So, Mighty Number 9 started as a Kickstarter campaign with a goal of $900,000, which it hit only 2 days after starting. The game looked like an amazing Mega Man-esque game. It's no surprise that it reached its goal fairly quickly, but that may have also led to its downfall. The creator decided to set new goals for fans to help decide to put what into the game, including stuff like character design and bonus content. A big delay in the development was because they said they were still finishing the multiplayer mode even though the single player mode was quote 100% done. It was also because a lot of people were jobless while another one of their projects was failing, but they never told us that, so who cares about workers' well-beings? The game then was delayed again even though the developers stated there wouldn't be any more delays and that they quote had no excuses this time. Well, at least they weren't making people homeless this time. All the different ports and delays in development caused it to be one of the worst delayed games of all time. It would be fine if the game turned out to be good. If it turned out to be good. Instead, we got end credits that were nearly 4 hours long because they had to credit over 67,000 people who donated and backed their Kickstarter. Could you imagine having a last name that starts with Z and waiting to see your name?
There I am! Oh, that was more exciting than the actual game!
The one delay that probably affected me the most was what felt like the 10 years leading up to the Final Fantasy VII Remake. There were rumors floating around for a while about a potential remake before finally being officially revealed at E3 2015. This made everybody collectively lose their minds, and they lost their minds even more over the next year and a half before any new information came out. What is it with developers revealing a big game and then not giving anything else for years afterwards? Do they like torturing us?
No, of course not! No!
Unless necessary.
Oh, fuck yeah!
There were mentions here and there of the project being in development through 2018, but since it had been 3 years since the reveal, people were starting to get doubtful over the game. Finally though, in 2019, a new teaser trailer was released and we finally all got hopeful again. Especially when we finally got a release date of March 3rd, 2020. Or April 10th, that works too. The last delay was mostly because of the growing concerns of the pandemic, which even caused some regions of the world to get the game shipped out a few weeks early. Probably one of the few good things that actually came of the pandemic. There were a lot of games that ended up being affected or delayed by the pandemic. Halo Infinite, The Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima, No More Heroes 3, God of War Ragnarok, just Just to name a few were delayed at least a month or in some cases over a year. Luckily, every single one of those games I just mentioned turned out to be really good. There's a reason I didn't mention you, and now the delay to end all delays that I just have to mention. Duke Nukem Forever is the game with the longest delay between its first reveal to its official release. Just for some perspective, this game was revealed almost 6 months before I was born, and then was finally released 4 months before I turned 14. I went from this to this in less time than it took for the game to come out. That would be like a game being revealed now and not coming out until the beginning of 2037. I'll be almost 40 by that point. There were so many things that led to Duke Nukem Forever's delay, from switching game developers, to disputes within the team, to firing and laying off multiple employees, to being purchased by a new development team. Duke Nukem Forever's delay is like a soap opera gone wrong. And when the game finally released, it was bad, but it's about the journey, not the destination. Nobody can take away the fact that this turned into this, which honestly is kinda cool. And if by cool you mean depressing as shit, game delays come in all different shapes and sizes, but for the most part they are usually the right move. They don't happen for no reason, and they have good intentions to improve the game. Shigeru Miyamoto even once said, "A delayed game is eventually good, but a bad game is bad forever." You tell that to Spore. I will always be on board with delays because I have seen way too many games get rushed and turn out poorly. You cannot rush perfection.
Oh shit, it's been over a year and I haven't made a video yet. Delays are good, I swear.